and I'll let you know as soon as we're actually live.
Perfect.
All right, so yeah, there we go. I think we're live now. We'll give people just a second to jump in here. Get back to my Zoom page. Technology is a struggle.
Yes, it always is, right?
All right. So I think we're set up. All right, we're filling in some viewers right now. While we wait, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. The lady here in the Scranton picnic T-shirt is none other than Kim M. Ferry. She was the hairstylist for the series called The Office, if you've ever heard of it. It's a little thing on Netflix. It used to be on NBC. Now I think it's moving to the Peacock network. But yeah, so it's awesome to have you here with us today. We're going to ask some questions and take some user comments. So yeah, let's see. Pull out my notes.
It's all good. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here.
All right, so we'll just start in. So it's been pretty crazy lately with the COVID stuff going on. So how have you been doing?
Yeah, it has been busy. You know, I've been staying in a lot like everyone else. I don't want to catch anything. Obviously, we try to stay safe, and I've been kind of bunkering down here. I've also been working a lot with my local and just trying to help members. I'm the vice president there, and it's trying to just get information, and we're trying to move ahead with figuring out how our job is going to work in the future, because it is such a tricky thing to be in a trailer and to be around actors and to be working with them. So there's a lot kind of going on right now that I'm in a constant Zoom meetings. And I've been taking a lot of classes too. So it's been a lot, but it's, you know, it's also worthy and worth it.
Right, especially being a hairstylist, because that whole 6 foot radius thing doesn't really apply.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're so close to actors, and you know, it is a bit complicated. So we're trying to sort that out and make sure we get all the guidelines in place so we can all stay safe.
Right. So whenever I was preparing for this, I jumped on your IMDb, and I was kind of blown away by all the things that you've been involved with. And I saw that you've been in the business since the early 90s. Is that correct?
Yeah. I moved to California from Illinois, and I moved here in 1992. And it was right when the major earthquake hit. So that was super fun. My first one. But yeah, I've been here for a while now. This is home to me now.
One of the shows that I saw on your credits list was Even Stevens, which was one of the shows I liked when I was young. So how was that? Did you work with Shia LaBeouf any? And
yes, yeah, I did his hair. I did a lot of the kids, and I wasn't department heading it at first. I was working for someone else actually, and yeah, we had a good time. It was just a fun show to do. The kids were really sweet, and you know, he's a great actor, so I'm really proud of him and all the things he's done.
So that's cool. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I watched Even Stevens, but that was a staple growing up. I was watching Even Stevens. Let's see. So watching The Office, it seems like it would be a blast from what we see on the screen. So we can only imagine behind the scenes. So how was the whole experience with the crew and cast? And
I love my job. That by far I mean, I've done a lot of shows, honestly, and I'm very proud of all of them, but the most is The Office. It was my favorite. And I think it was just such a wonderful adventure for all of us, because it was a struggle in the beginning, you know, and I think I credit the actors. I just posted this the other day on Instagram that the actors really, you know, went out there and reached out to talk show hosts. And, you know, this was a time where it was MySpace. There wasn't Facebook. There wasn't Instagram. There wasn't all of these venues for social media that we used to have. It was just talk shows. So they really went and pitched themselves and, you know, made some noise to get people really interested in the show, because we would work for a few weeks and then we'd be told, well, okay, we did like 6 episodes. We don't know if we're coming back, you know, and then it would be a break. And then, okay, oh, we're coming back. We get another like 8 episodes. So we're like, yes, you know, it was a struggle at first. We were on and off, and then it became solid. Second season was, that really, at the end of that, I think we really solidified it, and we were a show that was being known, and it was starting to like find its footing.
Right. So like what's your mindset on this like phenomenon that The Office has become? Because I know one of the viewers we have here, his name is Brian, and he's one of the admins for The Office Addicts, which I think the last time I checked had like 311,000 members in it. So I mean,
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's mind-boggling that the series. I think it's more popular now than it was on television. So.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm glad that it is. I think it's reaching a whole other audience. I have 2 teenage kids, and it's crazy that they are loving watching it now. And we all sit and watch it and laugh. And what they don't remember is, as children, they were actually visiting me on the set. So I had a little picnic table outside of the hair and makeup trailer, and I would have the kids come over, because I didn't live that far from actually where we were shooting. It was really convenient for me. It was like a 8-10 minute drive for me to get to work. So it never happens. And yeah, my kids would come over, and all the actors would come out and be picking them up and taking them to craft service. I mean, it was really sweet. We were all a family there, and I loved my time there. I really did. I just loved that job. It was a blast to do. And we see people, they started out, also young in a way. And then as they grow, they're buying homes, they're getting married, they're meeting people, it really changes you through about 10 years worth of time. We had a lot of different changes, but it was so great. I loved that job.
So you talked about being close to the set, and I see the Scranton shirt. Now, you've never actually been to Scranton, have you?
Well, I haven't made it to Scranton. I did go to the Niagara Falls, so that's the closest that I have made it, because for Jim and Pam's wedding,
Right.
That was a big secret, and we kind of snuck in and snuck out. We were trying to really be quiet about that, because we didn't want a lot of people to know, and and it kind of got out a little bit when we got to the Maid of the Mist, because we couldn't actually own the boat, but it still worked out, and people were pretty cool about keeping it quiet. So yeah,
Very cool.
I've been to technically Niagara, but yeah, not Pennsylvania technically. I don't know.
Yeah, so whenever we do actually have the fest, I'm excited that you'll be able to see everything there. This is an Alfredo's Pizza Cafe box that they actually have there in Scranton, so that's kind of cool. Let's see. We've heard you mentioned before on the Office Ladies podcast multiple times, and then you've talked about being in touch with some. So would you say Jenna and Angela are some of the people that you're still in contact with, or is there any other cast members that you're able to communicate with on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I run into people, because it is LA and we all live here. So I ran into BJ one night at the where was it, at the Magic Castle, which was crazy, and then it was so great to see him. I've been in touch with Angela. I think I ran into Brian, because he was doing a project. He's doing his own thing, and saw him, and I ran into him on the Warner Brothers lot a couple of times too when I was working there doing Pretty Little Liars. So you kind of run into people. It just kind of happens because everybody's working. And Mindy and Kate, I seem to run into her a lot too, or we at parties or things like that. So
and you mentioned Brian. He's just started his own podcast as well, so he's got his own Office podcast going.
Yes, I know. I am in it.
I'll say I haven't got to listen to the first one yet. So are you in the first?
I don't know where I am, but I'm in
Okay. I haven't got to see that one yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a favorite cast member to work with? Like, as far as like, I don't know, just an experience that you had with them, or like a particular hairstyle that you did? Was there like a favorite moment or actor that you worked with?
I hate to say favorites, because I really did.
Right.
The cast was all pretty great. I can't pick and choose, but I would say I did hang out with Angela more, I think, than most people. And I hung out with Kate a bit too, when we were all working together. My favorite hairstyle is the Angela braid. I love that braid so much, and I've used it on a lot of other shows, and that was my favorite, I think, thing to do. And it was a fun thing. So Do I have one favorite? No, not really, because I loved working with Steve. I loved working with Mindy. I did a lot of people on the show. I mean, I did Mindy and BJ and Jenna and Angela and Rain. I mean, I did a lot of the actors, so I can't pick and choose because I just loved all of them, really. I mean, I was just grateful to be there. I was having such a good time. And before this show, I was on ER, which was a really heavy, sad, gloomy, show where people are dying and it's, people are crying. It's terrible. And then you come onto The Office and it's like, yes, this is a much better pace because you're
much
laughing,
lighter.
and it's fun. Yeah. And it's happy. And so I was just so grateful to be there. I was really grateful.
You mentioned the Angela braid. So was that actually born from The Office? Like Angela was the first person that had that particular style and then you used it further on? Or was it something you recycled from another?
I did. It's funny. I just, I don't want to say this because anyway, yes, it was kind of recycled. I started on a show called Babylon 5 when I first got in the business, and that was a science fiction show. And I was on that for 5 years. So you can't have contemporary hair on a show that's set in, I think it's 2265 or something. It was way in the future. So I would have to, and I was the hairstylist that was kind of doing hair and makeup at the time. It was legal at that point. So I was kind of doing all these funky, crazy hairdos because they needed to look like they were futuristic. And there's a few hairstyles that I kind of brought over to The Office that kind of take nods to that. And I've used them there. And I think that Angela braid was one of them because it was something that I could, make it look kind of cool, make it look like a headband. It was kind of a futuristic thing, but it actually worked for her because we wanted her hair back. She was wearing a lot of buns and things that were very pulled and tight, and tight and pulling it back. So it was kind of nice for her to have stuff off her face, but to have like a little design and have it be a little more feminine than the severe looks that she was getting in the first season.
So Angela was ahead of her time by about 260 years.
She's always ahead of her time. She's amazing. She's amazing.
So did you have a particular behind the scenes story that was really fun that you'd like to share?
Oh, I have so many. I don't know where I would start. I would say two were my favorite. Should I tell both?
Sure.
Okay. I'll try to be, so the first one would be, all right. So I will tell this story. So if you watch, the Xterra episode where Dwight kind of bests Andy out of his Xterra. Yeah. Well, that was actually my car. And
that's cool.
And so that was one that I owned. And, we always had cars in the parking lot, as you know, when you're looking down from the window, you see all the people getting in their cars and leaving right on The Office. So the producers came up to me and they said, look, we kind of want like an SUV. We're wondering, could we use your car for a couple of scenes? Just, it's going to be Andy Bernard's car. It's just going to be sitting there and stuff, but we wanted to use it. Could he drive it? Would you be okay? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm here anyway. Who cares, right? Sure. Of course you can. Do I get a car wash? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. I never got the car wash, but anyway, so then, the storyline keeps changing. And then it kind of becomes, Dwight is getting angry with him and he obviously wants to impress Angela. So as you know, and some of this, I don't think they saved the footage and I wish they had, but so you get to the day where basically Dwight, gets the car and takes it kind of away, out from underneath Andy. And so there's a scene where he's getting on the car and he's so mad at basically, Andy, that he is told by our director, who I believe I want to say it was Randall. And I was standing there because I was watching Rain at the time because he was just him in the car and the transpo guys, right?
Right.
And he starts telling him, you hate this guy. And there's a sticker, Cornell sticker on the back. And there's like another little sticker that's there. And he's like, you hate this guy, beat this car up. And so he's like, get up on the hood, get up on the thing. And he's like having him scrape and he's scraping the back of my car. And I look over the transpo guy, who's a pretty big guy. And he was at first like this. And then he's like, oh my, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like standing there going, well, I guess production's going to pay for it. So right. Yeah, he jumped on the hood. He jumped on the top. He was scraping the stuff off. And in the end, he did about $4,000 of damage to my car.
Wow.
So I didn't have it for about 3 weeks, but yeah, that was a fun one. So
But
that
then
was one.
your vehicle became like an actual office prop at that point, though. So you're driving around a piece of the show.
It did. And I ended up auctioning it off. Well, not auctioning, but I sold it on the night. I was trying to sell it on the night that they actually were doing the eBay, like that show, that episode. So that was kind of fun too. And then it went to a very nice family because I was at that point, I'm like, I don't really want to go anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
But, yeah. Yeah. What was the other one? Oh, my other favorite, I think, adventure obviously would be Kate and shaving her head. I think that was my proudest moment. And I'm very, my hair team and it took about 3 weeks of prep for me to set that up. And I can tell you that Greg Daniels really did want Kate to shave her head. He was very like, I really want you to shave it. That would be really great. It would be a big thing. And she's like, I really don't want to shave my head.
Right.
And, so I came up with an ideas and, we kind of had conversations about it. And I said, no, you're not going to have to do that. We absolutely can bring in a prosthetic person. And that would be Ed French, who is the godfather of bald caps. And he's an incredible artist. And he built the prosthetic piece for that. And then I had to get hair wefts. So I had someone come in and measure her head. And I had to build hair to kind of go over that like strip that she had. You have to glue it on so it hides it. And we had to do some practicing about how would we make the hair look like it's falling. So I bought a bunch of hair that matched her, and I had a lot of wigs, and I had a lot of everything. And we kind of pulled it together. And then on the actual day of shooting, I knew they wouldn't do 1 or 2 takes because it was such a big scene to do. And we ended up probably doing about, I feel like it was like 15 takes. It felt like that or more. It was a lot. And I practiced with Kate about how to, I would put a bundle of hair in my hand and I would show her like, look, this is how you're going to have to do. You're going to have to hold it. And then you just kind of let go of it and just let it fall to the ground. As soon as they say cut, I'll grab all the hair. I'll bring it over to my team. I'd run it in the bag, give it to them. They comb it all out and make everything, and bundle it again. And we just kept doing that in a circle until we stopped filming it. But it was my proudest moment, I got to say, because everybody thought that she actually shaved her head. And that made me so happy.
That's what I was going to say. It was so believable when you were watching it on the show. So it turned out really well.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. What was it like having to rub peanut butter on Steve Carell's head?
That was great. Oh, I honestly say this to people. I smelled like peanut butter the rest of the day. My hands were covered in it because, you have to keep going in. Yeah, so he also had a little piece, and I'm trying to remember. It was almost like it was a white, I can't remember what we used. I think it was like a putty thing that we put in right for the gum.
Right.
Because when he goes under to look for that shiny thing, right? So he had that in his hair too. And then I was just kind of putting the peanut butter in. And of course the director would be in there kind of telling me like, I'd like some here, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, let's put it here, but we don't want to go too far because we don't want anything dripping in him, So yeah, I kind of was putting the peanut butter in and then I would step away and I'd walk out and then I would show, Rain, like just stay in this area, And you kind of got to plan it because you don't want it to get so messy and so crazy that it gets on his clothes. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
you don't want to have to do take after take or have him go change and stuff like that. So you have to be a little careful when you're navigating these, but ended up pretty great. And, it was funny. It's like the whole day, though, literally, I smelled like peanut butter. So good memory.
I think you already answered this one. Somebody asked what was the hardest hairstyle or effect. Would you say that was the Kate, the bald cap with Kate?
Yeah. And I think I also wanted to say, a lot of people thought we put mayonnaise in their hair, and you really can't do that in a show like this because, that was the other part of it was all of their hair having that stuff in it. And that was a big thing too. Mayonnaise is awful. It would smell terrible. It would really make people feel sick. And in beauty school, we have this thing called, and it sounds gross, but it's cholesterol. And it's actually a really nice scalp massage tool where it has a very sweet scent, but it looks a lot like mayonnaise. So I pitched to them, they're like, we should just, do the real mayonnaise. I'm like, no. We got to just do this and make it, it actually is good. It's a good conditioner for them. And it's a great, thing to put in your hair. It smells really nice, but it looks like it will do the trick like it's mayonnaise. So I ended up getting, I think, probably 4 tubs of that. And yeah, then we started playing with, like, they wanted to do gags in their hair of these designs and these sculptures and stuff. So we had some of that. I had to design as well. That was pretty fun. But in the end, yeah, at least they had great conditioning treatments, and it didn't, make them feel sick from smelling all that. It was good. It worked out really well. I was really proud of everybody. They did great.
Absolutely. So earlier we talked about your vehicle becoming an office prop. So what are some of your pieces from the show that you still have?
Yeah, I have. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I think I put my book away. I don't have it here, but I do have a Dwight Schrute Buck. I do have the Golden Ticket. I have a poster from Michael Scott's paper company with all of the arms in it. And what was sweet about that is it was actually the hair and makeup department putting our arms in it was like interlocked. And that picture went on his wall, but it kind of was sentimental to me. And so I was given that from production, if you want to take it, I said, yes, absolutely, I do, because, it's a memory for me, and it's actually the hair and makeup team together. So I liked that.
Right. That's awesome. I think you had mentioned the Michael Scott beaded braid from Jamaica, right?
Yes. Yeah. The beaded. Oh, I have it. I can actually show you that.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I think I have it. Hold on. It's up here. Yeah. Okay. So yes. And I do have that. So there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There's the other one.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. Yeah, there you go. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's it. It's the little human hair. That's the little toupee clip behind it. Through the beads. So yeah.
Very cool. Actually, did you work with Jackie DeBaton any whenever she guest starred on the show? She played the stripper, Elizabeth the stripper.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, she just joined in. She's watching right now, so that's pretty
great.
Cool. Yeah.
She is cool.
Let's see. Other than The Office, because you've already said The Office was your favorite, what would you say your favorite film or television series that you've worked on would be?
I mean,
or project in general.
Yeah, The Office was pretty great. I really liked Pretty Little Liars was fun, because that was a lot of hair and a lot of, it's funny going from a contemporary show like The Office, where you're supposed to be very played down, they're very like simple. They're not really glam a lot. And then I literally, the night that I wrapped, it was midnight after we had finished filming. And then the next morning, I actually had to go straight to Pretty Little Liars at 7 a.m. to load in the trailer. So I didn't have much of a turnaround. It kind of works like that for me a lot. And then I started on Pretty Little Liars, and that was really fun because it was a lot of high glam. It was a lot of, really fun hairdos. And then we did a black and white episode, which went back into the 20s and 30s. And that's always, as a hairstylist, it's super fun to do that kind of thing. And, and just have a great time creating. Yeah, it was really fun. And a lot of prom episodes. So it was a blast.
So it sounds like you like whenever you're able to switch styles, because you mentioned going from ER to The Office, and then from The Office to Pretty Little Liars. So you got to have a little variety in your work.
Yeah, I sure do. I do. And then I went on to Last Man on Earth. And that was just a lot of being in deserts and isolated areas and a lot of heat. But it's fun because I had Will Forte there, and he was amazing. So I can't complain. I love him.
All right. So now we're going to jump over to some fan questions. So if you're watching on Facebook, if you've already asked a question, you can re-ask it so I don't have to scroll through all the comments. So what has been your most recent project you've worked on? This is Melanie asking.
I just finished, the last show that I did was called 68 Whiskey, and it was produced by Ron Howard and Brian Grazer. And it was a military show about basically, a military show about the medics in the show. So it was a great cast, and I don't know if it's even, I'm not sure where it stands right now, because when everything shut down, we haven't really heard anything, but that was the last show that I worked on, 68 Whiskey.
All right. Next question is Kyle wants to know, did you work on Boy Meets World?
I did. That's crazy.
Huh.
It was only, I think it was only a couple of days though. Like I said before, there's a thing called day checking. So if you're not working, and I'm usually a department head, so department head kind of runs everything. but then there's a key that's like your second person that helps you. And then there's people who kind of come in and day check for you. So I day checked on that for, I think, a couple of days. But
Okay.
it wasn't a big run for me on that.
Gotcha. Let's see. Anna, she just had a birthday yesterday, I think. Anna Silva. She asks, how much would it cost to do a wedding updo? How do I make this happen? So,
Oh, does she live in California? That's
I don't think she does. But happy birthday, Anna. Michaela.
Happy birthday, by the way. Happy birthday.
Michaela says the scene with Dwight wearing all of those wigs, it only took a couple seconds to show, but how long did it really take to switch him into all those wigs? So I guess whenever he's disguised as all the people in the office.
Yeah, that was fun. Because again, Greg Daniels always really wants it to be believable. He didn't want us, I mean, I could have made perfect, beautiful, amazing wigs, but he didn't want that. He wanted it to look like people from Scranton who would be able to afford cheaper wigs would use them. So right. That was fun. Yeah, we did that all in, I want to say we did that within like 30 minutes or something. It was a quick one because we were just like we would pop one thing on. They'd do a couple of takes of him turning around, right, and doing his thing. And then, and then it was done. But I think that was almost like right before lunch. So we were kind of I think we were in a hurry. I feel like I remember that pretty well. But yeah, it was like popping one on, taking it off, popping the other one on. So it was fun though. I loved those days where it was just like rolling and doing crazy stuff like that. It's fun.
That's a great question. I forgot about that. Emily says, what hairstyle are you most proud of and which one do you regret the most on the show?
What? Wow. I don't think I regret anything on this show. I will say, and what was the first one was what?
It was, you're most proud of. Is that the Angela braid?
Yeah, I would think, I love doing the Angela braid. I was really proud of, fooling everybody with the Kate thing and making them think that she really shaved her head. That was my proudest. I did enjoy doing a lot of the wigs too for the Sweeney Todd episode. I just for the, and just for information, I mean, I did do every single wig. I was the person that did it. I wanted to be accurate with everything because Greg was very particular, and rightfully so. So I would go in the trailer and build everything while my team would cover set for me. And every wig on that show, I did.
And I think Emily also, the one that just asked that question, it's her birthday yesterday as well. I don't know, it was just in the last day or two. So yeah, birthdays. So we need an office birthday party going on.
We do. Happy birthday.
She also mentioned, so you also mentioned, which is something that I wondered when you said it, that you would do hair and makeup when it was legal. So does that mean that you can't do both on the set with the same person anymore?
Yeah, if you're in a union, and I get asked this a lot from people who are interested in getting in the business too. It is not easy to get in, but you can get in. I was very lucky in my experience that I moved here because I really wanted to do this. I wanted to work in hair and makeup and television. And I was very lucky to get in on Babylon 5 actually, because it was a new show. It was a non-union show. So you have non-union and you have union. Non-union you can work on, but eventually you want that to turn union. And that's how I got in. It actually turned about a year and a half after I was on the show. We actually went and did picketing, and we wanted to make it a union show. And then that's how I got in. I was very, very lucky. It doesn't really happen like that a lot anymore. It is hard to do. You have to do on our website at Local 706, there's a whole page where it explains like how you have to do things and how you have to, submit, and you have to work on a show a certain amount of time, or you have to get your days. It could be 60, 60, 60. It's kind of complicated to explain, but you can certainly do it, but it is complicated. Yeah.
Gotcha. Kyle asks, what about the wig for John, the one where he tricked Greg? Yeah,
that was I thought I was going to get fired. I really did. So I can tell you quickly the story. It didn't go how it was planned. So he came to me and we had talked about it. He really wanted to do Leatherheads, right? And that was something that he wanted to work with George Clooney. And I totally understand. And I had worked with actually George Clooney previous to that doing Failsafe. when it was the black and white that they broadcasted. It was a great show and it was amazing. So I had known him before that. So I know John wanted to work on Leatherheads with George, and I wanted to make that possible for him. But, you know, Greg was adamant that he didn't think that it would look right. You know, he thought that people would know. And this is something that I actually, thank you for asking me this question. You know, he ended up paying for a wig himself, John did. And I hired the person who brought it in. Her name is Natasha Leddick, and she is, in my opinion, the best at it. And she came in and did not a mold, but she basically, it's kind of cool. They use Scotch tape and they put it on the head to get the shape of the actual actor's head. And then you draw out where their like line is, like where their, you know, hair is. And then that's how she actually then hand sews everything in. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks if you're that good, and she is. So we ended up doing that, and we didn't tell anybody. We were trying to keep it a secret. So I had her come in, and I said, this is a friend of mine, and I kind of snuck him into John's trailer, and that's how we did it. And again, not telling anybody, because I believe that, you know, I do know I am a good person to do wigs, and I know her skills. So basically, we went through all of this. We had it hidden. We were on location, but it wasn't that far from the office that day, and we were going to film it. So this was the deal. We were going to film it, and John had said, we'll film it, and then next morning, we'll go in and we'll talk to them. And I'm like, yeah. And then we'll tell them, look, see, you couldn't tell. But it didn't work that way. So he actually, which was nerve-wracking to me, John, at the end, we were supposed to go back to the trailer, right? I was going to take his wig off, and then we'd be like, okay, we'll just wait till morning, and then we can pitch our thing. Like, hey, see, it really looks good. But he didn't. He got in the trailer. I guess he took off and went to the stage to go talk to Greg. And so I get in the trailer, and I'm asking the PA, and I said, hey, where's John? I thought he would be here. Is he in his trailer? And she's like, no, he just left. I go, he left where? Where did he go? He's like, to go see Greg. And I'm like, oh my God. So I grabbed my purse and I still had my set bag on me. So I like jumped in my car, and I'm trying to like catch up to him. And I remember getting in there, and, you know, when we go back to the stage, there's a stair that you have to go up. So I'm running up the stairs. My heart is pounding. I'm like, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna get fired. And I run in and I sit down and I said, hey, and in the office, so you have like a little reception area, and then behind it is the writer's room. And so there's a couch that you sit, and it's right in front of Greg Daniels' like door. So I sit at the couch and I say, hey, can you let him know that I'm here? And I'm like a little nervous. And I see BJ in the writer's room, and he walks out. He goes, hey, Kim. He goes, hey, are you here about the wig? And I go, what? What do you mean? And he goes, well, I just wanted to say, I mean, I just saw John walk in the office, and he said, I mean, I think we'd all know that he's wearing a wig or not. And I went, what did you just say? Because he was wearing the wig at the time.
Right.
And so I'm like, so you think you would know that he was wearing a wig? He's like, yeah, of course we would. Like, it's, you know, I mean, that's really hard to do. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that might help, you know, because now I know that he's wearing the wig, and he didn't realize he was wearing a wig.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, And then the door opens, and, you know, my line producer's there, Greg's there. I can see John in the room. They're like, Kim, you should come in here. And I was like, I literally said, BJ, it was nice working with you. He's like, what? I get up and I go in the door, and I look, the first thing I see is like the wig sitting in front of Greg on the desk. And then I'm just like, hi. So he's like, wow. And I think Greg said, wow, you guys have some balls. Like, you know, I always thought I would know if he was wearing a wig. And then he kind of relayed what happened, that, you know, John walked in and literally was like on the table, leaning over, talking to Greg, saying, you know, you won't know that it's a wig. And he's like, I would know. And he's like, really? And he just grabbed it and put it off, which was crazy. And that made us be able to do the wig, because he convinced him. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie. I really thought I was out of there.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I watched the series before, like people on the Office addicts will post, you know, like random facts and stuff. And I saw that about the wig, and I was just like, what? So I had to go back and watch, you know, I still can't tell it's a wig whenever I go back and watch. But that's...
And I have to say, it does frustrate me when, you know, nobody noticed that season. They really didn't notice until, he started getting promotion for the Leathered Heads. And then they saw that his hair was short. And then they're like, oh, we all knew he had a wig on. I'm like, no, you did not. You did not know, because we were really good at it. And it was an excellent wig. So I just want to say that.
Okay. Melanie Marie asks,
thank you for the
did you do any of the headpieces like the DM does GB hats, or the headpieces some of the girls wore to the weddings?
The headpiece. Oh, for The Office?
Yeah.
Yes. Wardrobe had things in place, but then I also did a lot of, as I was just saying to Angela, I did a lot of glue gun stuff. So I would make custom, like for Angela, I would make custom cat things, and I would have all these little like cat clips for her that were really fun because it just went with her stuff. And for weddings, same thing. We would try to incorporate, I'd be back in the trailer gluing and hot gluing and putting things together and adding little things to it. So I think it was a combination between wardrobe and hair and makeup, obviously. But yeah, we did kind of throw things in here and there, and that was fun. And then I got to do wedding hair, obviously, I think for Pam on all that. So
let's see. Michaela says, do you have a favorite guest star that you worked with? Because there's a lot of guest stars that were on the show.
Oh, hands down, James Spader.
James Spader, the Lizard King.
Yes, he was amazing. What was great about that is that I think he made, I know that he made people nervous. They were kind of nervous around him at first. All the actors, they were a little like flustered because he was James Spader. And he was very particular about things. He was a great guy. He was always wonderful to me. And he would come in a little bit later, but he would just sit and tell these stories. And they were just, of all his times in the 80s and the 90s, God, the guy's lived. So yeah, James Spader, hands down.
Was it a Robert California style story? Something that you expect him to say?
It was. It was. And luckily, it was just me. And then it was our makeup artist, who was Kenneth Paul. And we were in the trailer with him alone. So it was just this quiet thing. And he would be just telling these amazing stories about when I was in Morocco, and, da, 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 da. I'm like, crazy. Yeah, that was fun. I loved him. And he gave me a very nice gift at the end. He gave me this book that was really cool. And yeah, he's a great guy.
Very cool. Let's see. I think we chatted a little bit before we got started. I can't remember. I remember looking at your filmography that you'd worked on Even Stevens, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was pre-Facebook Live or not. So let's see.
It was like MySpace time. Yeah.
Right.
It was only MySpace.
Imagine that. If there are any other fan questions, make sure you get them in. Whose hair took the longest to do?
Well, in a hair and makeup trailer, we have to have time. So the 80s want the actors to be on set on time. So there's a certain, if you would see on my Instagram, I have this, gosh darn it, I wish I would have had my book here and I could have shown you, but it's basically a graph of how the actors are lined up every day. So some people take less than others, Rain could have taken 15 minutes every time just to do his hair, but we would do these little I had this teeny little mini iron and we would make those little curls in his front, so he wasn't that much time. Creed took the least because if his hair was buzzed, he was pretty easy. But when you get into the women, it's a little more complicated because that's at least 30 minutes, but I never go over 30 minutes unless it's a wedding episode and you need more time. But usually in a trailer for me on every show, you have to do hair within 30 minutes, whether it's wet or dry, it needs to be done really quickly because we just don't have the time. We have to get them out to set on time. So yeah. And sometimes you do what's called double team. So if I'm working and someone comes in the morning and they're supposed to have their hair dry, but they come in wet because they were late getting to work, you have two people start drying their hair. There's tricks to it, but yeah, we have to hustle and keep it on time for the whole office, for the whole show.
You mentioned Creed taking the least. There's an episode where he's trying to be young or younger acting. And,
the black hair?
He has black hair, and then later on they ask what happened to the printer ink. So I'm sure that you didn't actually use printer ink to dye his hair.
No, it was a spray. You can get it's a little spray thing that you do. It's like black and it's what is it called? You can use a topic, or you can use I can't remember what it's, streaks and tips. That's it. It's like a black streaks and tips, and you just spray that in and it's done. But I will say I was really excited too, because I got to go a few, I guess it was 2 years now back. I got to go see Creed when I heard that he was going to do this tour, and I kind of wanted to surprise him. So I bought tickets to go to it. And then I ended up going, and he was so sweet. He's like, hey, I've got tickets for him. Like, no. I don't like asking people for that. I want to pay to contribute to him because he's a friend. And I know a lot of musicians, so I like to do that. But it was so fun to go see him. And I know he was at kind of the end of his tour, but we had such a great time. Like, he actually gave me a couple of shout outs during the show. He's like, hey, my friend Kim's here, and she was on the audience. I'm like, ah!
That's cool.
I was fangirling out. He told great stories on that. I mean, he had some great stories. So if he ever does it again, you guys should all go see him, because he is fantastic.
I'm glad he got to perform in the show too, because like I think it was the very final episode. He does all the faces, which was really cool to see on screen.
Yeah, he's great. He's the sweetest. I just love him.
Let's see. Jackie asks, Pam goes through a huge glow up hair wise. What is her natural hair texture? Is it curly, frizzy, or sleek like in the later seasons?
Her hair is a lot like mine. I have naturally curly hair too, but I straighten it a lot. She had naturally curly hair, and that was the look set originally for her, because they did want that very tussle kind of, not dealing, you're not a glam show. It's a contemporary show. So she had that hairstyle for a while. And then as she grew and her character grew, and she became more interested in not just her looks, but, she's interested in this relationship, her hair should change with it. So we kind of evolved into, a different look, where she was trying a little bit more, and she was trying to look a little bit better, and, and really interested in, obviously, Jim. So I think with everyone, it was kind of fun. And you can't keep the same hairdo on everybody for the rest of the run. Like, these are people, people change their hair. So
right.
It was really fun to kind of do that. And I remember with Mindy, when she had really long hair, and then eventually I wanted to like do that little blunt cut on her. And, it was fun, because that's what people do. So it just it's kind of going with reality. You don't have the same hairdo for 9 years, or I would hope not, unless you're really into it. But,
Emily brought something up, which is something that I've always kind of wondered about. Season 1, Steve Carell, he had like the hairline that was kind of pushed back and thin, and then season 2, kind of forward, it was more full. So, explain a little bit about the choice in hairstyle for Steve.
Sure. Yes, I get asked this question a lot. So the first season I was asked to do, but I was actually working on Veronica Mars at the time, down in San Diego. So I was about a month away from finishing that, or about 3 weeks out. And I had been asked to do The Office, and I wanted to, because that was who hired me. Originally, I'd worked with this producer, and then, wanted to work with him again. So I couldn't, though, quite make it for those first six episodes. So I did not do the first 6 episodes, but I did watch them. So when I knew that I had the job for the second season, they basically, I went and I talked to every single actor, and we all talked about how they want things to be different. And the first thing with Steve, honestly, I said, in the original 6, they wanted him to look like Gordon Gekko. That was their plan. That was their look for him. I felt it was too severe. I felt that it was, it wasn't flattering that I felt.
Right.
So I wanted to change his look, and I wanted to actually kind of change his hair, and he was all for it. And we had a conversation about it. I said, I'd really rather like to blow dry it and kind of give you some height and give it a little bit of style, because you are a working professional. You are wearing suits every day. And, we kind of had this conversation. So we both were on the same page. We agreed to kind of what we liked. I did the style for him. And then that's how you see for the rest of it. That's how his hair is. So I think It was a much better match for him too, because, he is such a good looking guy. He's such, you don't want him to look scary. You don't want him to look creepy with the slick back stuff. You want him to be approachable. And I think that really helped. And I really liked his hair after that. I thought that was a good change.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the season 2 forward hair was much more appealing than the season one. Yeah. Let's see. You have lots of people saying how awesome it is. They agree
Thank you.
that Creed's
so nice.
tour was amazing.
Thank you.
Going off Jackie's questions, whose decision was the transformation? Is that yours or her or the producers? That was the Jenna Fisher hair. Whose decision was that transformation? Was that your choice, or more the producers, or collaboration, or?
No, it was kind of a conversation. It starts with the actors. So if any of the actors are feeling like they want to make a change or they want to do something different, we can't just do it. We do have to go and talk to production, which basically means Greg. Greg was the guy who ran it. That was his show. And you always have to be respectful of that. And when someone says, look, I kind of want to do a shorter hair, or maybe can I do a bob, or maybe, it has to be run through production, because I don't know, they plan probably, 4 weeks ahead of what the actual storylines are. So you don't want to mix something up. If someone is supposed to be doing one thing, you know what I mean? You have to be careful. So, but it was so easy to go up and talk to Greg and to talk to the writers. And they were always very kind about everything. So they were open to stuff. And if it was something like, look, no, we have to have this because, Meredith's going to get her head shaved down the line and she can't change it. Okay, then I won't do that. We'll wait. Right. We'll do it after. So it's just a conversation that's pretty easy. It's an easy thing to do, but yeah, that's kind of how it works. I have to ask permission. I can't, and you're doing it on behalf of the actor.
All right. So I think that pretty much sums us up. I think we've been going for a little over 45 minutes. So
great.
Really appreciate you joining us and being with us. If there's anything that you want to say before we hop off of Facebook, feel free.
I thank you for even watching. And again, if you want to follow my Instagram, it is hairferry.kim. So it's HAIR and then FERRY.kim. And I post a lot of behind the scenes, and I think what's different too about me, I actually write to everybody. Like when I see posts, and then I comment to people and I have conversations with people, because I love The Office just like you guys do. So if you want to just check it out, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's actually how I met you, is through your Instagram. So that's how we got in touch. So I definitely recommend following her and checking out her stuff. I love your personality and your enthusiasm for the show. So thanks again for joining us. And I think next up, are you familiar with Kellen Coleman? Played Isabel on the show.
Yes. Oh yes, long, dark, gorgeous hair. Yeah, and I was just watching her on another show the other day. Oh, I can't remember what show it was. But yeah, she's so good.
She's up next. So she's at a little over an hour from now. So yeah, but thanks again. We're gonna hop off Facebook. So everybody on Facebook, make sure you jump back on here in about an hour and have your questions ready for Kellen. So thanks.
Thank you.